Hello everyone, and welcome back to JAS Reviews. My name is James, and on this channel I do reviews of both music and movies, along with the occasional commentary piece, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, then please be sure to leave a like on this video, and to subscribe to my channel to see more content like that. Well, another year is coming close to ending. Kind of hard to believe, right? But here we are at the end of 2024, with a new year getting ready to start shortly. And what better way to end off the year on my channel than by celebrating what I thought was the best music 2024 had to offer. I have to say that this is probably one of the best years of music that we've ever had. Music actually became a very important part of the cultural conversation in a way that I feel like it hasn't in past years, and I think a big part of that is because the quality of the music just became so much better this year in many ways. And I think it's easily the best year for music in the 2020s for my money. Metalcore had its best year since probably 2019, with so many promising new bands coming into fruition, and many of which you will see appearing on this very list. Pop was no slouch either, boasting a lot of fun and innovative artists. And rap also had one of my favorite years in recent memory, and you'll see that fact reflected in this list as well. And speaking of this list, it was one that was incredibly hard to make. I had to make some very tough cuts, but I am ultimately happy with the list that I do have. So sit back and relax. I don't want to waste any more time because we're in for probably a pretty long video. And yeah, we are counting down what I thought were the top 50 best songs of 2024, starting with number 50.
Now and then she rereads the manuscript of the entire tour.
Taylor Swift had perhaps her most controversial year yet. I think I can understand why, as she did sort of overexpose herself with the sheer amount of different versions of albums that she released. It felt unnecessary very quickly. But I'm gonna try to ignore all that and instead focus on this genuinely great song. It sort of feels like a perfect song for Taylor to make, discussing the idea that she no longer owns her own story. Her celebrity has gotten so unfathomably huge that it can't possibly belong to her now, as fans speculate and make their own theories about Taylor's life. The song has a bittersweet tragedy to it, accentuated by Aaron Dessner's beautiful production choices.
Did I ever care?
This is such a great slice of pop rock. It was refreshing to hear a band embracing this sound and making it feel fresh and interesting. The beautiful combination of guitar and synth work in this song makes it one that is irresistible to immediately vibe to. Matt's vocals sound better than ever, especially in the chorus that will very quickly get in your head. And the lyrics do well at discussing the idea of betrayal in a breakup without it feeling overdone or even cliched. The whole band has tight chemistry in the song, making it an addicting track that I have come back to repeatedly this year.
Gotta keep the faith. She's picking up good vibrations. He's looking for sweet sensation.
This song feels like the unashamed embodiment of a party. Beyoncé creates a song that is fun to move along to effortlessly. The mashing up of different genres here in a different artist's hands, well, it could feel messy, but Beyoncé makes it feel like a magic trick in how naturally it works with her styling. There are different samples in here used ingeniously, such as Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys, and These Boots Are Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra. The track is meant to be a celebration of those who toured the Chitlin circuit, and it undeniably succeeds in doing just that. This is yet another year where Boston Manor has made my top 50 songs list, and this proves that they are one of the best modern rock bands working right now, and one of the most underrated without a doubt. They never fail to stay interesting and consistently make their sound feel fresh. In the process, they don't lose their identity and feel definitively still like Boston Manor. This song is proof of that, as it feels like a bit of a combination of Deftones-inspired vibes, while also bringing back the dark, atmospheric sounds the band had on Welcome to the Neighborhood. The song is sexy and puts you right into the mood that is excellently implemented with that undeniable bass groove. late to the party checking out Judas Priest's new album this year, Invincible Shield, and I regret that I didn't listen to it earlier. At least it gave me the immense pleasure to hear a veteran classic metal band not losing a step and still killing it. This song manages to feel like it absolutely belongs in the year it came out in, but it wouldn't feel at all out of place in the 80s either, when Judas Priest were debatedly at their prime. Rob Halford's impressive voice is still on fire even now, and you can tell the whole band still has a passion about making music. They aren't just in it for the money, which makes the listening experience all the more fun. And even if you aren't the biggest metal fan, I still think you could have a fun time with this song. If you watched my top 10 best hit songs of 2024 video, then you'll know that this song made that list as well. But I like this song so much that I knew it would have a placement in my top 50 best songs list as well. While I would still say that I enjoyed Houdini more, and that song made my top 50 songs of 2023, by the way, this song still comes in a close second. The fact that the song feels right at home on Future Nostalgia is an added bonus. And if you can't have fun with that chorus, then I think there's probably something wrong with you. Dua Lipa's frustration coming through the song is palpable as she expresses a relatable desire to get out of meaningless relationships and instead find one where she can truly feel something. But she also asserts her own sense of self-worth in the song, stating that if the other person in the relationship isn't as serious as she is, then she will move on. I love how empowering the song is and how it still manages to be a fun time in the process. I was hopeful that Churches would come back with a new album this year, but I had a feeling that would be a bit of a long shot. So it was a nice surprise to see the lead vocalist of the band, Lauren Mayberry, making her solo debut. This song is a great slice of pop with a bit of rock thrown in the 90s style in a way, for good measure. Lauren sounds just as great without Church's synthetic sheen. The song actually gives her a chance to experiment with her vocal style a bit, and I think it works greatly in her favor. It creates a song that feels unique to her. The lyrics of the song are interesting too, and Lauren philosophizing about whether we should care about why we're alive or not, but ultimately not able to come up with a reason. I like that the song lives in the uncertainty. It makes the listening experience all the more interesting. There's not really much to say about this song and why it works other than the fact that it is really strong, back to the basics punk rock. The song doesn't overstay its welcome, and while it might be a little repetitive, that fact doesn't bother me. Even with the lyrics being repetitive, the backing musicality varies it up enough to keep things fresh and interesting for the listener. I also think the cyclical nature of the song is actually intentional, as lyrically it discusses the idea of being unable to get out of idealizing a relationship that may not, in reality, be good for you. The guitar work in the song is excellent, and Michaela sounds more confident than ever in the vocal department. The more intense coat of paint works charms on Yours Truly, and I hope to see them pursue the sound more in the future.
When you're not here, I learn how to cry.
After 2 disappointing albums in a row, one of which was straight up not good at all, I had little hope to see Highly Suspect making a comeback. But this year was a pleasant surprise, as they definitely proved me wrong. While I don't think their album this year, As Above, So Below, is as strong as their first 2 releases, it is still definitely a strong return to form for them. This song is clear evidence to that. At almost 8 minutes, this song takes advantage of its runtime and keeps things interesting throughout. The song gives a detailed story of a relationship where the vocalist comes to the sad realization that, while the other person on the side will be fine, they cannot live without her. The loneliness becomes all-consuming, but the lead vocalist comes to the realization that he is not good for the girl and he needs to let her go, even if it hurts. I like that the song doesn't resolve this hurt either, but rather lets him have to deal with it, as well as his own toxicity that contributes to the relationship crumbling in the first place. It creates a very poignant song from start to finish.
So like a cemetery.
I wanted wanted to like Bring Me the Horizon's Next Gen more than I actually did, but that doesn't mean the album was without its gems. Far from it. Utopia might end up being one of my favorite songs from the band. I just love the emphasis on strong guitar work and great atmospherics. Oliver Sykes invokes Deftones in the verses while clearly being influenced by My Chemical Romance in the chorus. I really enjoy what this song is discussing, the idea that we can all create utopias of our own if we tap into what makes us the happiest. It is one of the band's most optimistic songs, and I love how effortlessly soaring the chorus is. This is yet another song that also made my best hit songs list, but I liked it so much that I wanted to put it here as well. I got into Chaperone just a little bit before she properly exploded into the mainstream, but it didn't surprise me when that ended up happening. While I'm not sure I would say that everything she's doing in the pop sphere is stuff that we haven't seen before, it can't be denied how much of a great performer she is. Not only does she have fun with the pop songs she creates, but she also brings a certain passion to them that makes them feel more convincing than they might be otherwise. Good Luck Babe is a perfect example of this. I love Chapel's Kate Bush-inspired vocal performance in the song, and the song's tragedy of a person who won't accept their sexuality and instead just tries to distract herself in any way she can, and that tragedy is felt throughout. The bridge of the song is one of the best musical moments of the year, without a doubt.
And I'm lost in space.
Foster the People released what is, in my opinion, their best album this year. They embraced the synth-pop sound they were beginning to explore on Sacred Hearts Club and pushed it forward into more 70s disco-inspired and danceable territory that worked massively in their favor. Lost in Space is one of the many excellent songs that came off this album, and yeah, that is the perfect title for this song, especially in the chorus where it feels like you are floating through the cosmos in the best way possible. The synth beat in this song gets my head nodding along instantaneously, and the pristine production quality of the song just makes the synths work all the better.
I'm so scared of my guitar 'cause it cuts right.
Olivia Rodrigo only continues to improve in her songwriting craft and is showing herself to be the best of the new batch of pop stars coming into superstardom. I have been rooting for her ever since Driver's License, and her obvious talent is all too apparent at this point. Musically, this song is one of Olivia's most simplistic. It mainly emphasizes her voice and guitar with some subtle synthetic flourishes going on in the background. Considering the subject matter of the song, I think this is fitting. The song sees Olivia getting meta about songwriting, as she discusses this relationship that she knows isn't right for her. But, as much as she tries to lie to herself and say that everything is fine, she cannot lie in her songwriting. It will always bring out the truth, even the stuff that she's afraid to face. This might be one of Rodrigo's most vulnerable songs to date, simply for the fact that she admits her songwriting will always cut to the most inner securities that she has. The song works so well in how plainly it expresses this, along with Olivia giving a raw, beautiful vocal performance. Void of Vision is one of several up-and-coming metalcore bands that I will be discussing in this list. It was so fun to experience a year where the metalcore scene saw many new bands getting deserved recognition. Void of Vision was certainly one of them, and what I appreciate a lot about them is their emphasis on the more industrial side of metal, along with a clear inspiration from nu metal. The best version of that sound for them comes in Gamma Knife, which is really a pretty heartbreaking song when you delve into the lyrics. Jack Bergen discusses the tough healing process around a major surgery it had, and contemplates whether it was all worth it in the end. In the midst of the stark honesty in the song, it does feel like there is a ray of light at the end in the symbolism of the Gamma Knife, which is meant to represent healing and taking away the darker parts of Jack's life that were there pre-surgery. Musically, this song is simply superb with its cutting guitar work and a chorus that boasts Jack's excellent vocals.
You taught yourself a lie that you repeated. You're a special guy, won't break if you're interrogated.
This is easily one of the most fun songs of the year. I had a feeling that Better Lovers were going to hit it big this year, and that is exactly what happened. This song still boasts the unhinged energy the band had on their EP, but I think it is reined in ever so slightly to make for a more catchy chaos that only serves to make the song maybe even better than anything they had done on their EP. The track is all about trying to ignore the darker parts of yourself, but the danger in doing that is that it will all inevitably come out when you least expect it. I love the wild scream singing here, along with a delightfully unhinged breakdown that is sure to go off in a live setting. Lead vocalist of Pale Waves, Heather Barron-Gracie, described this song as making her heart break but feel euphoric at the same time, and I can't think of a more apt description for the song itself. The synths and guitar combine perfectly to create the sound that is gorgeous and feels almost otherworldly, but also manages to bring through a bittersweet feeling. I'm not sure if you can get much better 90s-inspired synth rock than this. The song discusses a relationship that was never meant to be, but it felt like everything while it was happening. I like that musically the song reflects that all-encompassing feeling of a relationship that consumes every aspect of your life. The track gives you complicated emotions, but ultimately, the euphoria at the end is there, and it's an implied, definitive letting go of the relationship that serves as a perfect conclusion for the song.
Break it down and I had the whole world watching, but the worst part is really who watched me. Every night I cried.
This song actually came out in 2023, but I didn't listen to it properly until I heard Megan's 2024 album, so I'm counting it for this year, and that's usually what happens. Even if there is a song in 2023 that comes out in that year, if it's on a 2024 album, for my rules, it does count, especially if I missed it in the previous year. And this is easily my favorite Megan Thee Stallion song, and I think a lot of it has to do with the vulnerable, personal lyrics. Megan strips down the illusions of the life of a star and instead exposes the underbelly of what a life like this can be. She details her struggles with alcoholism, depression, and relationships. I admire how unafraid Megan is to discuss her issues with alcohol abuse as well as self-harm, and I think it's a good thing to talk about these issues in the mainstream, as it makes people who are going through the same things more willing to talk about them. It also helps that the song has influences from rap rock, with a well-done guitar riff put into the verses. Megan's flow is great here, and I like how she fittingly ups the intensity for the genre. Normally, songs like this that like to stutter out syllables of a particular word irritate me to no end, but this song just makes it work somehow. I think this could be because vocalist Will King changes what notes are being used when stuttering out said word, but I also just can't deny that for the context of the song, it is catchy as sin. The song sees the band talking about how you shouldn't just try to stay in the conventions of a genre. Instead, you should have fun and try to break the rules every once in a while. The song was sort of the ultimate summer hit for me. It just felt like the perfect track to listen to while running outside or swimming. Electronics are used in a very fun way here, and the breakdown that comes after the first chorus is one of the most fun moments of the year for me. This song, well, it knows what it is, and it lets itself and the listener have a fun time with it. Breaking genre rules can be fun when done right, and this song proves that.
But I remember him 10 feet tall and bulletproof, throwing me a ball in cowboy boots.
What I continue to love about Luke Combs is that, even though he's easily one of the biggest country stars out there, he still cares about being more modest and down to earth. I feel like he's one of the only big country artists out there who brings about that modest personality in a convincing way. In a year where country dominated, Luke Combs could have easily released a country album with more mainstream appeal, but instead he released a more stripped-back, unassuming album about his relationship with his father and his son. That only made me respect him more, and the album includes some of his most heartfelt material. This song is such a beautiful moment on the album where Luke discusses how, even though his father is getting older, he still will continue to look up to and love him. The lyrics express childlike wonder that comes across as incredibly charming, and the warm, organic instrumentation makes the song a gem.
We are dancing to the voice of Zachariah.
always love when a band chooses a specific genre because it thematically aligns with the subject matter of what they're discussing in the lyrics. This is the case for Future Palace with Decorabia, as they go full on into synth and dance pop with great guitar work. The song discusses a relationship where both people are personally hurting, and I really like the pulsing synth constantly going on in the background. A personal favorite part of the song for me is where Maria discusses how she wants to help the other person in a relationship, but she has her own unresolved pain. The grim guitar work in the background shows the reality of the situation and that this relationship will hurt both parties, while the synths symbolically show the desire for both parties to live in blissful ignorance and pursue the relationship anyway. They will be with each other, if only to ignore the dark realities of their own situations. Once you peel back the layers of the song, it is more than just a fun, danceable metalcore track. It actually has a lot to say and shows that Future Palace is a band to keep your eyes on. This song feels like you're right back in the early days of Green Day, and I can't deny that is a big part of why I enjoy this song so much. I'm glad that the band made a great comeback after the terrible Father of All and released an album that was easily their best since 21st Century Breakdown. Billy Joe Armstrong sounds great here. I would say he sounds more invigorated and passionate than he has in a long time. The upbeat guitar and drum work in the song hides the darker subject matter going on as Billy discusses his struggles with alcoholism. I like that he takes honest accountability in this track for the mistakes he's made and wants to finally get out of this cycle. And I also like that the song doesn't necessarily have an easy solution, as even in the end of the song he's practically screaming out in desperation, "I don't want to be a dead man walking." It speaks volumes about the tough cycle of rehabilitation, and I think that will connect to many fans of the band. This has got to be one of the most immaculately constructed pop songs I've ever heard. Aurora's ethereal voice has always impressed me, even if it wasn't always attached to songs I was passionate about. But make no mistake, I absolutely love this song. Aurora kills it here with this unique cut that I can only describe as progressive pop. It feels like it is constantly incorporating new ideas and keeping you on your toes. I love that Aurora lets her accent shine through too, making this track all the more unique. The backing beat during the chorus is superb and really reflects the sense of urgent optimism that Aurora wants the listener to have. And I love how inspiring the song is in discussing the idea that all of us need to be there for one another, because in the end, as the lyrics say, we are dust. We all bleed, and ultimately, we should try to bleed for each other. It's a beautiful sentiment, and I think it's rather important to express, especially in times like these. This song is positively magical in terms of what it does. The song has a slow burn effect in how it grew on me. The more I heard it this year, the more I loved it. If you have lost a loved one this year like myself, then this song can be a nice, comforting reassurance. Casey's beautiful voice guides the listener through a journey where she sees a bird and interprets it as potentially a sign of a recently passed loved one reaching out from the other side to be with her. The song sounds effortlessly gorgeous, with the electronic work combining excellently with the soft guitar and drums. It creates an atmosphere that feels appropriately mysterious and otherworldly, as Casey contemplates on whether this bird is just a bird or something more. I really like the song chooses the latter and keeps it hopeful, especially in the ethereal bridge that really just brings this song out on top. One of the most underrated Christian hard rock bands came back in a big way this year, and I loved what they gave us. In a scene where I feel like a lot of Christian music has become diluted and uninspired, it is nice to see there are still signs of greatness out there every once in a while. Sleeper is a pretty ambitious song for Spoken, shifting between more synth rock-esque verses and then a straight-up more hard rock chorus. And speaking of that chorus, man does it soar. It feels positively epic, which is appropriate considering the song is about finally waking up from a life of spiritual apathy. I won't deny that the song became even better for me when Ryan Clark of Demon Hunter came in and made the bridge basically feel like it had Demon Hunter vibes. It was a lot of fun and made the song even better than it already was.
Hey, black flag all on my mic. I've been known to spend a lot like Bob Barker, the price is right. Being broke, my...
I tend to find flexing songs to be a dime a dozen, but if an artist actually manages to have fun with it, then I will be more forgiving of it. But then there's Denzel Curry, who turns flexing into basically an art form. I knew this song was going to be great when Denzel compares himself to former host of The Price is Right, Bob Barker. Even if the song is at its core a flexing song, what helps is that the song is never taking itself too seriously. You can tell that Denzel is having a great time here, and so you can't help but join along for the ride. That Mexican OT provides a great feature here too, with his flow working great against a more intense backing beat that pervades throughout the song. This track is a great showcase for two very talented rappers that are both clearly experts in their craft. If you want to hear a song about flexing, you certainly can't go wrong with this one.
It's so confusing sometimes to be a girl, 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 girl.
Girl So Confusing could well be the best collaboration of the year, mainly because it was so unexpected. And yet, it is sort of fitting. Charlie and Lorde are both artists that are known in the pop sphere, but they are a bit on the fringes of that scene. It's interesting that Charlie had insecurities about Lorde and whether Lorde even liked her. And the song was meant to be a deeper commentary on being a woman in the music industry and how the music industry seems to like pitting women against each other in competitions that neither party asked for. And yet, these same people that pit them against each other also expect just astronomically high expectations of these women to respect each other. It's only inevitable that tension could be created as a result of these clashing expectations, so it felt like a nice victory to see two women within the pop industry able to prove people wrong and resolve their differences that were in reality misunderstandings. As with the rest of Brad, the synth work here is excellent, and both Charlie and Lorde ride the beat effortlessly to make for a song that is a resounding success.
I'm navigating my head. This is so shit. I'm navigating.
Coming off an album that was a bit controversial, I think 21 Pilots felt they had a lot to prove with their next album. And for the most part, I think they did make a great comeback, even if I don't see Scaled and Icy as a bad album. Navigating saw the duo making a delightful return to their more rocking sound that I've been missing for a while. The pulsating drum work from Josh Dunn will immediately get your head moving. Tyler Joseph's always reliable lyrics about struggles with mental health come through on the song in a powerful way, as he discusses his issues with navigating his own mind. I like how he awkwardly stutters out the title of the song in the chorus. It cleverly reflects exactly what the song is talking about. The driving guitar riff in the song is great, and everything about this song just screams classic 21 Pilots to me. Alix creates a synth pop song here that feels like the perfect combination of catchy and unsettling. The song is an interesting exploration about how far someone should go in creating their art. Is there a point where it can become toxic or harmful? Alix's answer to this seems to be yes, sometimes to the point that the harm can become physical. The real danger for her, though, is the fact that the pain could eventually become normal and accepted. And yet, Ali also desires to make great art, so there is a complicated clash between these two things. What I love the most about this song is the ending, where Ali really gets to show off her vocal chops, doing an interpolation of Phantom of the Opera that feels thematically fitting. This is such an interesting piece of synth pop that I have loved coming back to all year long.
I built my house on sand, hoping it would stand the storms that come.
The fact that this song is this low on the list shows how high quality the rest of the music we got this year was. Music fans were truly spoiled in 2024. For the longest time, this was one of my top 10 songs of the year. Nothing more crafted something truly spectacular here, embracing the harder metalcore-inspired sound they were going for on Spirits and pushing it forward even more. The band uses a classic biblical parable about the man who builds his house on sand as a symbol for making bad choices and standing for all the wrong things in your life. The chorus soars as Johnny Hawkins begs for his life to be rebuilt in a way that feels convicting and convincing. Then Eric of I Prevail comes in to make this nothing more maybe most intense song to date, with a bona fide breakdown that is a delight to the ears. This band continues to push the boundaries of what is possible in rock, and I can only hope that more bands follow in their footsteps. The feeling this song gives me is hard to describe. It is so confident in what it does and the risk it takes, and never fails to impress me each time I come back to it. The combination of shoegaze, metalcore, nu metal, and straight-up hard rock is executed masterfully. The lyrics on this song are some of the best of the year as the band discusses the idea of being in denial about one's darker intentions. The lyrics serve as a poignant call-out with lines like, "Have you ever been to some place you had no control of whatsoever? Chasing, erasing, retracing. It never ceases amazement. Your phrases deface me, berated conscience, leaving me speechless with how well penned they are." The shifts between genres in this song are seamless and confident. This band has something special, and I hope that more people continue to discover them.
Back to the bathroom. Back to the club for another one.
This may well be Sam's best song to date, and considering how many truly incredible moments he has on his previous two albums, that is really saying something. This track is utterly haunting as Sam delves into the drug addiction that was prevalent in the town he grew up in. We see Sam here being starkly honest about the fact that he had his own addiction problems, and it was tough to get out of that cycle. The subtle, quiet guitar work in this song, along with Sam's hushed vocals, make this song's tragedy all the more apparent. The desperation that Sam has continues to reach a fever pitch, until the bridge where he says, "I think I need to leave this town," as it only regresses him. There is a sense of regret in saying that in the bridge, though, as Sam acknowledges in earlier verses that he still has some affection for the very town he wants to leave. All these complicated feelings continue building until the incredible saxophone solo comes in. I swear, no one incorporates sax as well as Sam does, and I eat it up every single time. Yes, this is another song that came out last year, but it is part of a 2024 EP, so in my mind, and for my rules, it still counts, especially since it did miss my best list last year. And if anything, this song feels more fitting on this list as it connected with me, if anything, more in 2024. Northlane embraces their industrial and synth rock sound they've been building up on all their previous albums, and it makes for one of their best songs to date. Marcus's vocals here are indescribably good, especially in the chorus as his voice just soars to new heights. I just love every new turn this song has, and it feels like every time the chorus is sung, it has a renewed sense of energy to it. And then there is the song's solemn ending with just Marcus's voice and a piano. It never fails to give me cold chills and leave me speechless. "I hate the silent reminders of heartache" is such a simple but effective lyric for this song that makes it one of the most memorable tracks within its genre.
Falling like the leaves on Let It Cry.
The Last Dinner Party is easily one of the most promising, completely new bands I heard this year. It's so cool that they're a group of entirely women and work mostly within the rock genre. We always need more women in the rock scene, so it's always nice when that does happen. And this song is a clever commentary on a male-dominated society and how it can affect women. In this song, we see the lead vocalist talking about the desire to become respected in the same way a man would be, convincing herself that all her problems would be solved. The chorus sees her becoming just as arrogant, though, comparing herself to Caesar and saying that everyone would finally love her because no one can stop her from getting what she wants. But there is definitely a certain feeling of hollowness in the chorus that I think is intentional. Musically, this song is excellently constructed, with the chorus in particular just building and building to a very satisfying climax.
We have lost control. Have you seen the video?
Nothing But Thieves move forward with their 80s-inspired sound that they started on Dead Club City and embrace it even more fully here. The results are nothing short of superb. You know immediately that you are in for a fun time when those synths come in with the energetic drum work. Connor's vocals are such a great fit for this soundscape, so much so that if the band continued to pursue the sound for the rest of their career, I would be so on board for that. Here he talks about Dead Club City, which is meant to be a clear reflection of America, losing the plot as they fall for more and more disinformation campaigns. The society was meant to be a unifying place, and it has turned into one where people are campaigning for them to join their grift for a quick buck. The commentary is scarily relevant to right now, which is clearly the point. At the same time, though, I can't help but have a great time listening to this song. Nothing But Thieves have crafted pop perfection. Era proves once again why they are one of the best bands working in the metalcore scene right now. A big reason of why I love this song in particular so much is that it reminds me a bit of their older sound, especially in the soaring chorus. Jesse's vocals are on point in this song and make me feel nostalgic. I'm not sure if I can describe why exactly, but every time I hear this song, it brings me back to the first time I heard this band. JTKV screams work great in this song, even if they aren't necessarily as emphasized upon here. The more atmospheric sound Era goes for with the soft guitar work does wonders for them and makes the song feel otherworldly. This was actually my most played song on Spotify, and I wasn't surprised when this was revealed on my Spotify Wrapped. While this song isn't in my top 10, it was definitely a very special one for me this year. If this is the type of quality we're getting out of Avrilize on only their first album, then I am very excited to see where they go next. It is actually wild that a brand new band is crafting a song that some veteran bands wouldn't dare to attempt several albums in. But that is exactly what we have here, and it is incredible to see. The band swings, and they end up scoring a home run. The guitar work in this song is really unique, but it's very easy to attach onto even with a first listening experience. The lead vocalist is immediately impressive, especially in the soaring chorus that ranks as one of my favorites of the year. The breakdown in the song is irresistible and superbly implemented, and the Western-style whistling at the end of the song comes out of nowhere, but it is a nice surprise and a delightful one. Everything about this band screams potential, and I am eager to watch them continue to capitalize on it.
I'm gonna make you like me!
Alpha Wolf managed the near impossible and created an album that is chock full of basically only bangers. Nearly every single song on Half Living Things had me banging my head along right away with some of the best crafted breakdowns and guitar riffs one could hear all year. Some might consider it to be just mindless fun, and you know what? Maybe it kind of is. But that is also what makes it awesome. Just look at Double-Edged Demise. There are literally lyrics in here that are just the vocalist screaming tick-tock, tick-boom, and yet it's the most badass thing I've ever heard. The band just has an easy charisma to them that makes them impossible to hate, especially in a song where they also exhibit the best of 2000s new metal. I feel like you would be hard-pressed to not have fun with this song, as everything about it just makes you want to have a party.
Now break all of the promises that you made.
Throwback metalcore came back in big ways this year, which I suppose was something that people were craving. For my money, Boundaries did the best version of this sound. The guitar work feels like a relic of the 2000s in the best way possible. The screams in this song are devastating as lead vocalist Matt McDougall describes a relationship that he just can't get out of his head for all the trauma that it left behind. And yet, for the other person, they were able to erase it like it never happened. The chorus of the song is massive. It just amazes me how the clean vocals are able to go that high. Then the breakdown comes in and wow, it is truly something to behold. Boundaries crafted something that manages to feel nostalgic and modern at the same time. A seminally great piece of metalcore. If you haven't checked this one out, please do so because it is a wonderful experience. Billie Eilish blew me away with Hit Me Hard and Soft this year. It is easily one of the best pop releases we got, and even at that, it would feel a little reductive to call this just a pop album. As with previous Billie releases, this one took risks. There were plenty of excellent songs I could have chosen from her album this year, but for me, The Greatest did indeed live up to its name as the greatest song on the album. In some ways, this song is actually the most simple. For most of its runtime, it's a ballad where Billie describes a relationship where the other person didn't fully appreciate her, and because of that, he missed out. The chorus really brings the devastation home as Billie describes her attempts to make herself more attractive to this person, but it didn't amount to anything. The bridge brings this song over the top as it turns into a rock epic that does what Happier Than Ever started even better. The guitars are front and center and Billie lets her voice soar. And then going back to an ending with Billie's raw vocals and quiet acoustic guitar, man, Billie just brought her feelings across in such a poignant way. I consider this song to be a 10 out of 10, and yet it still managed to barely miss my top 10 songs of the year. Invent Animate have their own sound. It belongs to them, and I don't think anyone else does it nearly as well as they do. I think it was a smart idea for the band to make this a deluxe song for Heavener, as thematically this one is ever so slightly disconnected from the rest of the album. It's not about death, but it is still about loss. Here, Marcus Vick discusses cutting ties with a toxic person in his life, and it is framed in the most victorious way possible. As he manages to somehow both sing and scream out, "I'm letting go," you can feel the weight being pulled from him, and maybe even a weight you didn't realize you were holding on to is being lifted in the process. The glorious guitar and drum work makes for a wonderful soundscape throughout the song, especially in the mind-bending ending where it feels like the guitars are folding in on themselves. Invent Animate is a treasure, and I am glad that they have gotten their deserved recognition.
It's not fair, 'cause I know you like the
And now we reach the top 10, and man, I've got such a quality batch of songs here that I am excited to talk about, and I recommend you check out every single one of them. And we're starting off with Cheerleader by Porter Robinson. This song has become one of my biggest addictions this year. Every time I come back to it, I find something new to appreciate. Porter Robinson has created a masterpiece here that I think can stand the test of time against his best work. From the moment that synth riff comes in, which repeats throughout the song, you know you're in for something incredible. And man, that synth riff. I'm not sure if there's anything this year that has proven to be more memorable for me. Porter Robinson creates an unsettlingly realistic depiction of parasocial relationships, and the idea that fans think they are entitled to every aspect of an artist's life. The chorus brings this idea to fruition with the incredibly catchy line, "It's not fair," feeling like something that could easily be screamed aloud at a concert. Many people have said that the chorus has a My Chemical Romance vibe, and I can't disagree with that. That might be part of the reason why I love this song so much. I also love the acoustic-led bridge where Porter brings a sort of bittersweet acknowledgement that he might actually need the fans more than they need him, which leads to a clever inversion of the chorus one last time where it's him, not the fans, saying it's not fair, and it's both euphoric and devastating at the same time. This was Poppy's year, no doubt about it. She started off in January with a great collaboration with Bad Omens about the dangers of AI that had a good chance of making this list, but just barely missed the cut. Then she further cemented her greatness with an iconic feature in the Knox Loose song Suffocate, where she proved that she could be as devastating as many of the other top metalcore vocalists out there. As if she needed to show off any more, she also came out with an album this year that boasted a great mixture of metalcore, synth pop, alternative rock, and more. Basically, Poppy killed it, and I was happy to be there to witness it all. There are so many great songs I could have chosen from Poppy, but They're All Around Us was the easy winner for me. It saw Poppy doing a full embrace of metalcore while putting her own twist on it. The menace of the song is immediately apparent when Poppy screams out "coward," and then the massive guitar riff comes in. The song is thematically very intriguing as Poppy discusses the idea of living in a world where we can't trust anyone. It feels like all our heroes are deserting us, leaving the world more desolate. The song lives in its anger, and is all the better for it. The chorus is also just awesome, with Poppy's voice soaring to new heights each time it's sung.
I hope you find yourself. I hope you take your mask off.
Sad story.
Tyler, the Creator's Chromacopia is easily one of the best albums of the year, and in an album full of great songs, it was very tough to choose the best, but Take Your Mask Off is just on another playing field. It shows Tyler lyrically at his best, and personality-wise at his most empathetic. Here he goes into the perspectives of several different people: a wannabe gangster, a preacher who is hiding his sexuality, and a disenfranchised single mother. In every perspective, he shows how all these people are hiding from who they are out of shame or maybe even fear. But he doesn't necessarily just criticize them for it. Instead, he tries to understand them. I love the resolution of each well-penned verse, which comes in this beautifully jazzy chorus where Tyler, Daniel Caesar, and LaToya Williams sing together and wish for each person to take their mask off and be their true selves. The song becomes more poignant when Tyler raps about himself in the final verse and reveals that he sees himself in each of the previous people he rapped about. He gets raw and real, and it makes the song have a whole new and even more powerful context. Knocked Loose came out with perhaps the most unforgiving metalcore and hardcore album in 2024. From front to back, it was shocking and an uncompromising experience that will bring the most meek of people into a violent frenzy, and I mean that in the most positive way possible. How can you not go insane when you hear the riffs, insane drum work, and punching vocals that come on every single song in this album's 30-minute runtime? Blinding Faith is the perfect representation of everything you're going to get on You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To, and it also happens to be the best song on the album. The band discusses religious hypocrisy from two perspectives: a person disenfranchised with the whole idea of faith, as well as a religious person who wants to keep them in the faith no matter what. The two ideals clash violently, until it culminates in a mind-bending guttural vocal from Brian Garris and a breakdown that feels illegal in how horrific it sounds.
Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
You had to be living under a rock if you weren't somehow aware of the legendary rivalry that happened between Kendrick Lamar and Drake this year. This rivalry became nothing short of historic, as Kendrick basically decimated Drake with some of the most hard-hitting diss tracks out there. Meet the Grams is probably the best song Kendrick came out with this year, but I can't justify putting it on here because its dark subject matter makes it a pretty tough listening experience. I'm not saying that this song's subject matter is a walk in the park either, but come on. This song just speaks for itself and how well it works. Mustard's beat makes you immediately vibe with the song, and Kendrick's flow is easy to latch onto. He's basically dancing on Drake's grave here, and it's incredible that we're living in this reality. There are so many lines here that left my jaw hanging open the first time I heard this song, and I'm still amazed by the verse in which Kendrick deconstructs how Drake used other rappers in the scene to get his own street cred up. While not my favorite Kendrick song, it's still something that will stay in my rotation for quite some time. I've always found Eminence to be a solid metalcore band, if a little bit basic. But man, this year they came out with the album The Black, and I saw them in a whole new light. I always appreciate when a band goes for the big swings, and Eminence most certainly did that. It paid off for them in dividends, so much so that their album this year ended up being easily one of my top 10 favorites of the year. Continuum was a song that slowly but surely snuck up on me as being my favorite. This track thrives off its intoxicating atmosphere. The band crafts something here where you can feel the weight of every moment. They put you on the precipice of death, so that you feel like you are chasing time along with them. The line between brutality and beauty is effectively blurred here as we transition from one to the other effortlessly. The combination of desperation and solace feels like the embodiment of what people likely begin to feel when they get closer to passing between one world and the next. I've always liked this band's symphonic elements, but they're done even better here. And man, talk about a breakdown that will blow you away, along with a chorus that is a tearjerker in its absolute beauty.
Eyes like a lighthouse, you keep me alive. Don't get too far.
Resolve have slowly but steadily crept up as one of my favorite new metalcore bands in the scene right now. Considering how many great newer metalcore bands I've talked about in this video, that statement should sound pretty significant. Sandman sees Resolve at their most innovative yet, with a song that cuts between some of their most intense and unhinged heavy moments, along with their catchiest chorus to date. The band discusses the dread of living with crippling anxiety. The verses do a great job at encompassing the dread that comes along with that, but then comes in the redemptive chorus where Anthony determines that he will rely on his loved ones, and together with them, he will face the oncoming storm. In a year full of awesome choruses, this one might be my favorite. I especially love the second verse in the song, where it takes an unexpected turn and we get clean vocals. It flows so well and feels so natural before going back into the chorus once again, which feels even more explosive than before. The breakdown in this song is my favorite breakdown of the year, as just when you think it's done, it surprises you by going into a new direction. The band chooses to end off in a crowd-pleasing way with a slightly slowed-down version of the chorus that just put a smile on my face. It was so tough to decide what my favorite song from Magdalena Bay was from Imaginal Disc, as there are so many incredible cuts on that album. But ultimately, the lead single Image won out for me for a variety of reasons. I think I just really appreciate how this song is a real puzzle piece you need to understand this album. It establishes the atmosphere of the album perfectly. I also love when a song can implement an instrumental interlude and manage to make it catchy and stick in your head. That is exactly what this song does, with a unique synth groove that feels like a signature of this pop duo. Mika's unique vocal sound, awesome here, as she describes a procedure she is undergoing to become the best version of herself. But the unsettling synth groove, along with her vocal style, make it clear that this procedure is not necessarily a good thing, especially with the countdown going on in the verses to her becoming a brand new Image. The song becomes a clever commentary on the dangers of trying to be too perfect, and ultimately losing yourself in the process. Matt's synth grooves are excellent and proves that he and Mika are a wonderful match. If you wanted proof that 2024 was one of pop's best year, this song is it. This is just a great song, no matter what way you look at it.
Into the
I was left dumbstruck the first time I heard this song. A band that I never heard of just popped out on my YouTube recommendations, and out of curiosity I checked them out. I could have never expected this. This is the definitive evidence that this was the year for promising new metalcore bands. This song is kind of terrifying in how well it creates this dystopian atmosphere. From the first guitar riff along with the pulsating industrial synths in the background, you know you're entering a dark world. The band paints a not too distant future where we are all united in not the flesh, but a technological hive mind. The song's lyrics are purposefully stilted with foreboding, vague mantras of reset, renew, rebuild, reinstall, God. And then the chorus comes in and suddenly you are transported. It is just massive and powerful. You can feel the conviction in it, which makes it more terrifying. The character of the song is trying to sell you on being part of a whole rather than being yourself. The song leaves you thinking about the possibility of that, as the song ends with a distorted and haunting guitar riff. The chills the song brings me every time I listen to it can't be stated enough. The last time a straight-up rock song made my #1 spot was in 2020, so it's nice to see it finally happening again. And it makes sense it would be from Marianas Trench, who are not only great at incorporating elements of both pop and rock, but also know how to tell stories across a whole album. That was very apparent from their album this year entitled Haven. It cleverly uses a template of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, in which he posits that there are 13 specific steps that every main character takes at some point in any story written. Of course, this theory can be a little flawed when looked at in deeper detail, but Marianas Trench take full advantage of it and turn it into a meta-commentary about the human experience. Josh Ramsey specifically talks about his own journey with love, the band, and more recently becoming a father. This all culminates in this epic 9-minute track that I had no doubt would take my #1 spot from the first time I heard it. What the band crafts here is mind-blowing. They managed to cleverly take beats and musical moments from previous songs on the album and incorporate them to make a fitting conclusion here. They even take beats from previous albums to just do some unashamedly excellent fan service. You'll probably appreciate the song a little more if you listen to the album in full and have a deeper understanding of the band's history, but even on its own, this song impresses. And the ending of the song never fails to make me smile, as Josh makes a great thematic resolution about the human experience. He enthusiastically proclaims that the normal life is extraordinary if you really think about all the things that can happen within it. This could come across as cheesy in the wrong hands, but Josh sells it with such sincerity that you can't help but buy in. His voice reaches incredible peaks in the ending with an instrumental conclusion that is so just massive and incredible that it feels genre-defining for modern rock. I love this song so much, and feel like it's the perfect song to listen to as 2024 comes to an end. Let us all contemplate on our own normal but extraordinary lives. What a song, and easily, without a doubt, my favorite song of the year. So yeah, that ends off this list of the top 50 best songs of 2024. What were your favorite songs of the year? Please let me know in the comments down below. And even if you don't have 50, just let me know a couple, because I always love to hear what other people like. And while this season is over for this year, well, it's not entirely over in general, because next year we have movie list season, and I do have some movies to catch up on before I make that list, but I am going to actually try to bring them out in January this year rather than waiting until February like I have for the past 2 years, so be looking forward to those. But until then, I will see you all in the next video, and Happy New Year!